What's up, everybody? Welcome to Level 7. It's time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarch, editor-in-chief of agentsofandom.com, ready to break down just the wildest last few days of news and trailers. We're not even talking Mandalorian this episode. We had to double it up this week because we got so much to talk about. I am joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, best friend, groomsman, Garrett Blaney. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, what a crazy week it has been. It feels like I'm struggling to put a finger on the last time we had a week that was this busy and had this many things drop. I know, the timing of everything makes sense with everything in the projects, but it also is very coincidental for Marvel and Disney on a couple of fronts to distract us with all of this. So there's a lot of angles to this, but a lot to bite into as well. So I'm excited to break it all down.
Very well said. And with all of the news and rumors going around, there's been layoffs. We're not going to dive into that this episode and speculate in that. All of this Jonathan Majors news, it's so disheartening, and we hope the best for all parties involved, but lots of things just don't look great. But you know what? We're not going to speculate.
Victoria Alonso news as well. There's a lot of things.
Yeah. There's a lot of not so great news, but there's also so much great news that let's focus on the great news, because that is so much more fun. We're here to have fun and dive into the stuff that we like, escape the aspects of our life that we don't like so much. We're joined today by, usually behind the scenes, stepping in front and center. He got a taste of the co-hosting, and he doesn't want to give it up. Adam Blevins popping in for us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here with you guys. Kind of like y'all echo everything you guys said about this being such a crazy news week. It's felt so overwhelming, almost like if you take like an hour or two off of social media, you might have come back and missed something crazy, a trailer dropping or a big piece of news or something. I feel like you just have to have been so plugged in, and if you're not, you're just going to miss something big. So it's been crazy. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
Speaking of that, shout out to Ryan Cortero, our social media manager, for just being on the ball this week with all this stuff, and for you, Adam, for stepping in into his shoes on the off chance that he was busy doing something, and just the team for getting through this week. But definitely shout out Ryan and Adam for incredible work in terms of handling the socials and getting all that news out, because it has been hefty.
And also a shout out to Layla for being the Agents of Fandom Writer of the Month in March, covering so much news, so many great pieces. She is just getting better and better at being a content creator each and every piece she throws out there, and no one knows that better than you two, because you're the ones editing them.
Yeah, it's been honestly a treat to watch her growth. Not that she was ever bad in any means, but she has just grown tremendously, and she's honestly a star. And it's been so, like, I feel, TJ, you're the teacher, but I feel like I get a glimpse into like what you feel in terms of like the success of, like, I've just had a slight hand in this trajectory, and it's been really fucking cool to watch. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm happy that she is kind of the first person to take this seat, and she's very deserving of it. And I'm sure Adam has a pretty similar viewpoint, but I'll let him give a few words on that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I echo everything you said. And then also, I thought it was interesting when she brought it up today. She was like, I appreciate Adam and Garrett, you guys, for constantly dealing with me and my crazy ideas. And it's like, even like some of the ideas that, they do seem like, if you look at them in a vacuum, like everything's so crazy, but it's like she managed to take every single idea she had and turn it into an awesome piece of content. And like that's something that not everybody can do. It doesn't matter what she thinks up in her head. She's able to do it all on her own, and then work with us a little bit, and we're able to put out an awesome piece. So I couldn't be more proud of her.
Something I think that links all of us on the team is we're all kind of our own worst enemy at sometimes, or at least our own harshest critics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very, very well said, Garrett. And in reality, we all rock. We got so many talented creators on this team that are covering so much news right now that we're not even going to talk about on this show, but they're doing a Harry Potter series reboot. I don't want to watch that, but we didn't even need the soundboard for that one. But come on,
Yeah,
why?
I don't even want to. There's so much to get into there that
yeah.
New
exactly,
agent Cal said it
I'm gonna-
best. Who asked for this? Literally,
Who asked for this? Exactly, the WB bank accounts, and I think nobody else. Barbie trailer dropped today. It's something special. It's incredible. That movie is so colorful, and it's going to be something so unique. I'm sure they're going to be covering that trailer over on the Fandom Academy podcast, so make sure you check that out. Their last 2 episodes have had Liam Crowley from thecomicbook.com and Rachel Leishman from the Mary Sue. We're diving into WrestleMania, The Mandalorian, and all kinds of good stuff. Mario is coming out soon, and Agent Isaac watched that one already, and so make sure you stay tuned to the critics on YouTube because his Mario review is going to be coming soon. We're talking Love is Blind on Ticket to Reality with our guest this week being Sam Carmona, winner of Season 5 of The Circle Netflix, so make sure you tune into that one as well. Check out what they got going at Listen 3000. And, of course, all of the great articles we have up at agentsoffandom.com as well. Let's dive into this, and let's start first with the thing that wasn't even on our rundown until 20 minutes ago because there's been so much news lately. I forgot we haven't even covered this. Secret Invasion, the next big Marvel show coming out June 21st on Disney+. My biggest takeaway from this is what I was seeing everybody say on Twitter is, Garrett, I'll throw it to you first. We got some Winter Soldier vibes in this. This looks spy-craft-esque. James Bond meets some Mission Impossible meets Dark. I don't know. I like that. I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I also, to be quite honest, my bar wasn't set very high because this project feels like it's been so long in the making, or at least the storyline of it with the scrolls. That I'm just happy to get any content, and it's just wild to me that it's finally like has a release date. We're approaching it, and like we're here because I feel like we've been talking about it for so long. So I feel like I would have been happy with anything. Like it would have had to have been egregiously bad for me to have not been stoked for it. But I like that we're getting back to. It feels very phase 2, phase 3 of the MCU, and I'm excited to kind of see the cosmic and the grounded sides meet. There's obviously a lot of questions that should be answered with this project, and I think it's going to raise a lot more questions too. So I will say my only thing for this show is, and I know it's hard to compare it to WandaVision because that had a unique set of circumstances that caused the week-to-week discourse to be so involved. But I think that if this show has a similar level of discourse week to week in terms of people online being who's a scroll, who's not a scroll, are the teases good enough? I think if it invests people week to week enough, then it will have been a success no matter what. And will kind of renew the faith in Disney Plus series. So that's kind of my initial thoughts on it. But like I said, I was just happy to see that world again. Adam, what about you, buddy?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as you in terms of like my initial excitement for it was pretty low. I mean, I guess a lot of that was because we didn't really know much about it. I mean, I'm sure comic readers are probably a little bit familiar with the whole Secret Invasion storyline, even though I think they're veering a little bit away from that. But then as we got that first trailer way back, I think it was all the way back at D23 last year. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it seems like it's been forever ago that we got that first look. I got really excited for it, kind of getting a little sneak peek of the tone and everything there. And then we keep learning about casting news. And then we got this next trailer, this past week. And I tell you, those Winter Soldier vibes that you guys are talking about are so present. And I'm just, for one, are like starving for that kind of stuff that we've gotten or compared to the stuff that we've gotten lately. This just felt so, and I almost hate to say this because I know how it sounds when people say this, but like so CGI volume heavy that it's so apparent that like they're walking around in the volume and this little flat. It's just going to feel really nice to have like a more grounded story. And I'm in a way, I'm really looking forward to the theorizing and stuff as well. But then, I was talking a little bit about this in the chat earlier in the week. It's like my one request from this show, if we're getting this kind of tone that we're getting, it's like, just give me a good television show with good writing, good character, like a good season of television. That's even if there's no crazy cameos, even if we don't find out that somebody's been a Skrull all along, because that kind of theorizing stuff is already starting. Like people like Nick Fury, the whole theory about Nick Fury has been a Skrull since the Winter Soldier, and like all this stuff. And I'm just a little worried that like if they decide to not take a swing on one of these big theories, that some people may not be happy. But like if they just give me a good grounded television show, good writing, good characters, like and a good overall like fleshed out season, I'll be happy. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
I agree with you, and we're obviously not going to get the same type of chaotic, huge storyline that we got in comics, but it's going to be super interesting to see the way where they take this. Obviously, we know we're going to have Nick Fury be kind of the main player, Everett Ross, Maria Hill, Talos is going to be heavily involved. We see Rhodey in the trailer. Any one of these people could be Skrulls at any point in the series, but also potentially not at other points. They could be not dead. They could just be pretending to be somebody else at different points here. And then in addition to that, we have Emilia Clarke playing grown-up Talos' daughter, who we saw, of course, in the first Captain Marvel movie. She was the same age as Monica Rambeau was. At the time. Every single episode.
I was just thinking that.
It's like every time I have like the internal thought of like, hey, this is the right one. Make sure you don't mess it up, and then I say the opposite one right before it's time. But same age as young Monica Rambeau was. Obviously, we see Monica be kind of set like brought to a Skrull at the end of WandaVision, and see her voyage back into space. I'm going to be interested to see if Secret Invasion is going to be a bit of a bridge for Monica's journey between WandaVision and Captain Marvel, or if the next time we just see her is going to be the Marvels, or if we're going to see potentially some of her story explored and extended in Secret Invasion. That's something I'm kind of hoping for as well.
Why not both?
Like you said, why not both? Exactly. And it's like you said, Adam, as long as this is just a good TV show, we're not going to be upset at the extra stuff that does or does not happen. But we're still going to theorize. And one of the reasons people are wondering, has Nick Fury been dead since the Winter Soldier? Have there been multiple Nick Fury deaths? Because we see a different tombstone in this trailer. In Secret Invasion, there's a Nick Fury is standing at his tombstone, and it has a different quote on it than it did in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, where he once again was standing over his tombstone. Is this an oversight? Has it been updated? Is this, I know an aerospace engineer, and it's literally nothing, and we shouldn't be looking into it at all? Or is this a major clue? Maybe it's multiversal. Is it somewhere in between? What do you think, Garrett?
I think it's somewhere in between all of those. I do think it's a clue. I don't think it's an oversight, but I don't think it's like necessarily a multiversal clue. I think
the trailer we're going to talk about later just has me too excited for the multiverse, man.
Very true. But I do think that there is a middle ground between all of those things, and I do think it's an intentional tease left in there because there's not a lot of crazy stuff, to be honest with you, all things considered. So I think that's kind of one of the moments that we are left to harp on. And I do think that brings up a good point in terms of this is a great chance or vehicle to explore the last phases of the MCU and kind of go on a brief like history lesson and just revisit some areas. And this is kind of a chance for that, or maybe an Easter egg of that. It's exciting. I think it's a fun tease, and I definitely don't think that it's an oversight.
Everything from this trailer had me thinking like grounded, street level outside of the Skrulls. Very like Winter Soldier vibes until we see the Super Skrull. Now this is wild because obviously Kingsley Benadir's character, we don't know too much about him yet, other than he's a leader, a force among the Skrulls, and an antagonist in this series. And then we see his arms shoot out crazily, similar to Mr. Fantastic, although looking differently, stretching. Is this Super Skrull? Will this version of the Super Skrull or Skrulls that we've seen, does this mean they've already interacted with the Fantastic Four? Are we going to see Skrulls in the Fantastic Four? Adam, what does it mean?
Well, you're kind of asking the wrong person because I'm not all that familiar with like the history of the Super Skrulls. You know, I've done a little bit of reading about them actually recently once we saw that thing, and it said that they kind of adapt a lot of their powers from the Fantastic Four, but in a way they're like more powerful because say like Super Skrull can like stretch his arms or not, or he can like in terms of like say the thing, he can cover his whole body in rocks like if he wants to, but he doesn't have that problem of like constantly being weighed down by it and stuff. So if this is really what they're going for, I'm almost kind of dreading it because if that's just what they dive right like head first into that and embrace it, that this is a Super Skrull and he's got those same powers that the Fantastic Four have, then you know as soon as we see that, then the theorizing is really going to be like, oh my gosh, are we going to get like a Fantastic Four post credit scene? And then I really feel like we will be setting ourselves up kind of into like aerospace engineer territory with so. I don't know. I want to get really, really excited and fired up about it, but I'm just like, I've been burned except for the Loki finale with, you know, Kang, He Who Remains showing up. That was like our one time that our theories all came true. It seems like so often is the case that all of our theorizing is for nothing and then we end up disappointed at the end. So it's like, I'm good. Like you said, I'm going to end up doing it anyway, but I'm just trying to restrain myself for as long as possible.
That's something I've learned is I know I'm never going to stop. I'm still going to embrace it. I just don't care when I'm wrong anymore. Like, I'm not going to be upset by it. I'm not going to feel defeated. It's just, oh, cool. I got surprised. That's great. Oh, my goodness. This stupid cat Shadow, who I love so
I
much.
saw that.
Fucking cool. These people watching on YouTube right now instead of on the podcast form, make sure you're hitting the like button and subscribing and hitting the notification bell, all those great things. But people who are watching in video form getting a nice extra show as Shadow tries to ruin my life right now. But a good person you can ask about the Super Skrull and what is going on in that trailer is Agent Emma, because she wrote up a wonderful Secret Invasion trailer breakdown on agentsofandom.com. And I'm going to quote some stuff she put in here just for some breakdown on that character, Kingsley Benadir's character. They're calling him Gravik in the show, and he's reportedly the leader of a group of Skrull extremists who invade Earth. And now at the end, we obviously see him doing the stretchy Super Skrull stuff. And there are two kind of ways you can look at the Super Skrull. One, like a super soldier, when there's lots of them, right? It's genetic mutation on a Skrull. Then they have extra powers. There's lots of them, like a super soldier. But there's really one who is the Super Skrull. It's kind of like if I were to ask you who's the super soldier. Well, we know that that's Steve Rogers. There's lots of super soldiers, but we know that the super soldier is Steve Rogers. Well, there was one Super Skrull by the name of Kellert who bestowed upon himself through genetic manipulation and experimenting on the Fantastic Four. He gave himself their powers. Powers of the Human Torch, powers of the Invisible Woman, powers of Mr. Fantastic, and powers of the Thing. Made him an incredibly difficult foe for the Fantastic Four to fight against. Now, we don't know if Kingsley Benadir's character could be an amalgamation of that, or just a Skrull with some extra powers at this point. It could be one or the other. We don't really know. But either way, that trailer gave us a lot to talk about. It's very exciting. Who's a Skrull? We don't know. But I'm excited to watch that when it comes out on June 21st on Disney+. It's not the only place, it's not the only news we got from the MCU, though. It's not the only footage we got from the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 released some extra footage of potentially just their last trailer or a version of it at the Disney Investors Call the other day. And it's mostly a lot of the similar footage of what we've gotten already, but there was some new stuff. And one of the new things that I liked seeing in there was the group of our golden friends. I don't even remember their names off the top of my head, but Adam, I'll throw this to you since you're the Sovereign. Thank you, my guardian, because you're a Guardians guy. The Sovereign going straight to the High Evolutionary Chikuria Uji's character and saying like, "Don't underestimate the Guardians. They're strong." To me, what that extra piece of footage opens the door for is that showing us how is Adam Warlock entering this story.
I've been so interested about the Adam Warlock aspect of things because, again, as somebody that's not familiar with the comics, I don't know. I've heard that he's a hero, but I'm not all that certain about his story and where he comes from. I know we got the big tease. I believe it was in the post-credit scene or a scene in Guardians 2 where they show that big golden cocoon casket type thing, and everybody went crazy. But I've been wondering myself about what his role in this whole story is going to be, because initially, I thought he was just going to be like a friend to the Guardians in some capacity. And then, in the latest trailer, we see that shot of him and Dave Bautista's Drax just going at each other, look like they're both got a blade at each other's throats. And I'm wondering, what his role is going to be like, if he's going to be, trying to help the High Evolutionary or anything, or, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Siri just popped up on my computer. But anyway, if he's going to be trying to help the High Evolutionary, or if that's maybe kind of where he starts out, but then he gets to spend some time with the Guardians and kind of migrates over to their side, because that seems to be a common theme with them. Like anybody that spends time with the Guardians, it might take them a little bit of time to warm up, but nobody's going to spend time with them and then still end up wanting to oppose them. So I think in terms of Adam Warlock, I feel like that could be the kind of arc that we're heading towards, maybe a foe in the beginning, and then he kind of works his way over towards the other side. By the end of it, I feel like that's where we're heading.
Well, without having knowledge of the comics, that is a pretty accurate depiction of what happens. And I think that is probably a good bet for what's coming. But I agree, TJ, that was a big takeaway for me as well, was kind of how was he going to be crossing paths with the Guardians. And it makes sense that in her pursuit of revenge against them for stealing the ambulary, blamulary, flamulary batteries, whatever they're called.
Arbulary batteries.
I don't know.
What's the mind flayer called again? The
602 mitigator. I still remember
I love that. You never
for what it's worth, I think they're called Annulax batteries.
Annulax. I think that's a lot. That's
Arbulary batteries.
Arbulary, Annulax.
Arbulary batteries.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, if you go to the agentsofandom.com and head to the About the Agency page, or go to any of the author pages and go to mine, my bio actually now mentioned something about the rebranding of the 602 mitigator, or the rebranding of the mind flayer to the 602 mitigator. So that's always going to be something that I remember. But no, circling back, it makes sense that in her I believe her name is Aisha. What is her name? The Sovereign leader.
Right, actually.
But in her pursuit of revenge for the stealing of the Annulax batteries, that she goes in search of more allies, because that's kind of what happens in Guardians 2, right? She asks Yondu for help in, securing justice against the Guardians, and we all know that ends tragically. And I love Michael Rooker's Yondu, so that always gets me. But anyways, so it seems like she's going to be looking for new allies to use against them, and obviously the Rocket's creator makes a lot of sense. So sending her new creation Adam after finding out that info tracks, and I'm just excited to get into Rocket's story. James Gunn has said a lot about Rocket in the past days. and a lot of the posters have been centered around Rocket, and in a lot of ways this is really Rocket's story. So I'm really curious to get into that, and I love that. He said something recently about Bradley Cooper, like, was really in his bag for this. So I'm curious to see what that looks like, and so totally not ready for the emotions.
We've heard James Gunn say this is going to be Rocket's story. And that quote of him saying basically like this was not only was it the deepest he's been in his bag, but this is the darkest he's taken Rocket. We've seen the cute little Rocket as a baby moments from the trailer. I agree that with the Adam Warlock arc, we're going to get the similar thing to Yondu, to Mantis, to Nebula, where we're starting as an opposition, and by the end we're teammates. Kraglin, whoever you want to look at with that group. For those who have never played it, please play the Guardians of the Galaxy game for PlayStation, because you get, or I think it's on everything.
It is on everything.
Yeah, you get Adam Warlock, you get Cosmo, you get so much great stuff, and that game is just top tier video game. So make sure you check it out. And I'm actually excited to see that Drax versus Adam Warlock matchup as well, because like that's been my biggest complaint about Drax and the Guardians of the Galaxy is like, this dude's been nerfed. He's supposed to be a destroyer. We see it at the beginning of the first one. He's supposed to be wildly strong. He's supposed to be a really good fighter, and he just continuously gets his ass kicked, and then it's just the butt of every joke. And so I'm excited to see a little bit of Destroyer Drax in this one. Such cool quotes that we talked already about some of the James Gunn ones, but then some of the actors were saying, like, when you get to Act 3 of this movie, like, we're not acting. Like, these feelings are just so real. This is a family we've built together, and all of it coming to the end, it's real laughter, it's real tears. Some of these characters are probably going to die. We don't know which ones. We were talking a bit about off air about how it'd be a lot of fun to potentially have a Deadpool, a Guardians of the Galaxy Deadpool, and maybe do a draft about which characters we think are going to survive this movie to kind of ease the pain of potentially losing some of our favorites. Chris Pratt recently said in the same set of interviews that all of these quotes have been from, that like even if Star-Lord dies in this movie, he doesn't want his journey as Star-Lord to end. Like, there's a multiverse, there's other ways. He wants to still be Star-Lord going forward in the MCU. We also got the soundtrack, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 soundtrack, Awesome Mix Volume 3 has been released. And this is kind of fun because you guys didn't get a chance to see this yet, so I'm going to just kind of start breaking this track list to you guys, and you can tell me what you're excited about. Very first song on there caught my eye. I don't know if this is going to be referencing High Evolutionary or if this is going to be referencing how the Guardians see themselves, but it's Creep by Radiohead.
Interesting. Interesting.
So that's going to be interesting.
That's a tone setter.
Some of the Yeah, exactly. Big time, right off the bat. Like, and I apologize if I butcher some of these band names because they're all like written on the poster in James Gunn's handwriting. And that's what I'm looking off of right now. But we got Crazy on You by Heart, Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow, In the Meantime.
Not by Kelly Clarkson? Come on.
Not by Kelly Clarkson.
That's a ringer right there. Throws a wrench in things.
Top tier parts of Pitch Perfect right there when they do that audition with that song. It's great. In the Meantime by Space Something, and then we got the fifth track is some Earth, Wind and Fire, Reasons. Number 6, Do You Realize by the Flaming Lips. Number 7, We Care a Lot by Faith No More. Number 8, I don't know.
I love that one. That's crazy that he added that. That was when I got out of Guardians 2 and I was making my Awesome Mix Volume 3 wish list. That was the first track on it. So it's crazy that you say that.
Quando no Carnival.
Nope.
Is that another song, or are you just kind of vamping right now?
I think that's the name of the song. I don't know. I'm Always Chasing Rainbows by Alice Cooper. I have so much trouble reading his writing. San Francisco by the Mowgli's, Poor Girl by X, This Is the Day by the, No Sleep Till Brooklyn by the Beastie Boys, Dog Days Are Over, Badlands by Bruce Springsteen, I Will Dare, The Replacement, and Come and Get Your Love Is How It Ends by Redbone. I just know when that ends with Come and Get Your Love is gonna be tugging on our heartstrings. Oh, yeah. We're gonna be emotional in this movie. We're gonna be crying. Look, there's some of these movies that I go into ready to theorize and figure things out and deduce all these different Easter eggs that are popping out. I'm just going into that one with an extra box of tissues.
Amen. Not even gonna say anything other than that. That's enough. Nope.
The last movie that we're going to be talking about, the movie trailer, may have some tissues in it as well, but this next one I think is mostly just going to be laughter and fun action, and that is Blue Beetle. The Blue Beetle trailer is finally here. This movie looks so good, and I think the biggest thing that we need to lead off with that will raise people's excitement levels is James Gunn talking about how this movie is in the DCU. This is set in the DCU, because that was such a complaint with Shazam, is so many, not a complaint, but an excuse for why people didn't want to go to the theater, is we're right in the middle of a reboot. Things are happening, I don't know if this movie is going to connect to the future of the DCU, so why am I going to it in the theater? I liked it. It was a fun movie. If you you can check out my review on agentsfandom.com. You can check out their review coverage of it on the Listen 3000 podcast, as well as Fandom Academy as well. But what I think is going to get people a lot more excited about Blue Beetle is, we know this is in the DCU, Garrett. This is the first movie that's going to be set there.
Yeah, was that a question? I'm sorry.
You're just supposed to tell me why you're excited about it, and that you.
I felt like you were going to ask me a question there.
I'm such a great person, and that's like such a great point, TJ. But no, that was a pretty weak segue to lead you on, and so I'm going to go to the next one, and that is, fans of Cobra Kai know this guy very well, but Zolo Maridueña. How'd I do, Ruben? Give me a mic check. How'd I do?
Maridueña. Is that it?
Maridueña? I think I crushed that one. There you go. Zolo is a hell of an actor, a hell of a martial artist, and I can't wait to see him in the role of Blue Beetle. How about you, Garrett?
Yeah, no, I can't wait. I'm not a Cobra Kai watcher, so this is going to be my induction to Zolo Maridueña. But thank you. But based on the trailer, I'm excited. I don't have a lot of expectations. I think that it's amazing that we're getting this movie, and so I'm just going in ready to have a fun time. I thought the suit looked fucking sick. Like that's all I have to say.
Cool,
that's really all that matters, like, to me. And they crushed it based on the trailer, and the casting is amazing thus far based on what I've seen. So yeah, I mean, I'm hyped for this.
That might be my favorite live action DC suit we've seen so far.
It's like my only history with Blue Beetle was the whole the Injustice game. Like, I've watched the Injustice games and played a little bit of them, and I've seen him like as a character in those games, and I've always thought that suit was so cool. But I never knew, again, not familiar with comic books, I knew nothing about Blue Beetle before, like a week ago, except for the poster and the suit image that I seen. I had no idea this was like a symbiotic type thing, that this suit was like molded to him. Like, I thought it was just something like it was going to be some kind of nanotech thing. He slaps a button on his chest and that scene in the trailer where
it's got a mind of its own too.
His face and like grows all over his body, and then punches George Lopez across the room, and just, dude, I'm so locked in for this movie. I knew nothing about it going in, and I was like so excited already just because it looks so cool. After seeing this trailer, I could not be any more locked in, especially with the suit. That suit is so cool.
I'm usually not an origin story guy, but I'm so excited for this one. The backstory we're going to get with Jaime Reyes and Ted Kord's former Beetle. I don't think Ted Kord's going to be in this movie, but Susan Sarandon is his wife in this one, and so that's going to be very interesting. I haven't read a lot of Blue Beetle comics, but what my entire backstory is, and you guys know,
Same here.
I plug this show anytime I can. Young Justice, season 2 and 3, Jaime Reyes and the Blue Beetle are one of the main characters.
They go on
They
a
really
crazy plot line.
Crazy plotline, deep into his backstory. A Green Beetle is one of the main villains of a season. Like, check this out, because Young Justice is one of my favorite animated shows that there is, and Jaime Reyes and Blue Beetle are a big part of it. So make sure you check that out.
Can I say something?
George Lopez. Sorry?
Can I say
hell
something?
yeah,
real quick?
Ruben.
I kind of want to add.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of my input a little bit.
Let him cook.
Let me cook. First of all, I don't know much about Blue Beetle comic wise. You know, I'm a fan of the character. I'm a fan of his origins. You know, he's gonna be, I guess it would be like the first main Mexican superhero. I just kind of want to give my input on the trailer because there was kind of some of the thoughts that weren't really being talked about, more so on the culture side. First, I want to talk about the family, bro. The family hit it off for me because it just felt so real. Mexicans are nosy, man. They like to get involved and stuff like that. So seeing all the family members like looking at the burger box, kind of like, what is this? What is this? That is exactly what my family would have been doing if I had a suspicious kid or whatever. I think the cast is great, man. You know, I'm not the biggest George Lopez fan, but I mean, he played the part really well. I think it suits him. I love his look with the rat tail. I feel like that is just such a obscure Mexican thing. The shorts,
Old
the
crazy
socks.
uncle
yeah,
vibes.
crazy uncle vibes.
Yeah, big time.
And like you guys said, the suit, man, the suit looks incredible. I just think it's gonna be like a family fun event. You know, I don't think it's gonna be.
I can't wait.
It's not gonna be taken too seriously or whatever, but.
Yeah, it definitely feels very family, right? It feels like a very family going movie. Like something that could show on like Christmas Day and make like $1 trillion, you know? Like that's the same vibe that I got as well. So I'm glad that you said that,
Yeah,
Ruben.
definitely. Another note is that they're changing kind of like his location origins, because originally he's from like El Paso, I think, El Paso, Texas. So now he's kind of getting his own kind of city, like Metropolis or Gotham, under what is it, Palmera City? It's like a Miami kind of vibe, which I'm totally for. Give him his own unique futuristic location. I'm all for it. I think it's gonna be great for world building in the future. But yeah, man, I just cannot wait. It's just so exciting to see some kind of form of representation that we kind of really haven't seen. We saw, you know, with Namor, but he was more so kind of a villain in that role. This is gonna be like the first time we kind of see that Hispanic kind of representation kind of show up. So I'm just really excited. I just want to put my input in that because I'm so excited. But you know,
the only negative to you giving your input is now I'm going to drag you into way more podcasts, my dude.
Fuck it, bro. I'm down, bro.
Good. Hell yeah. The man got his webcam and he is ready.
Awesome.
We are bringing him in. I love this
we should have brought you in to begin with, to be honest with you. So that's our bad.
I just kind of wanted to sneak that in there. I just wanted to, you know, just
in my
just-
defense,
I
I
think you just
asked
made me
him
a
in
whole lot
advance,
less
and he
valuable.
said no. And so he surprised us on this one.
No, that is true. That's true. I will say that, but I didn't know the circumstances around my location area if I was going to be able to kind of record. It seems that like at the last minute it quieted down, and so I was able to kind of break it down for y'all. So I appreciate that though.
God damn, I'm happy because you look so handsome too. What
Turn me
a
up.
pleasure. Yeah, you don't know what you've done actually now. You might have just made the biggest mistake of your career.
Oh no. What have I done?
Because the whole reason they brought me on was to have a producer that could come on and talk. So as soon as
Nah,
the show
don't
goes,
worry
he'll be
about it.
like,
No.
yeah, Adam. So, you know, now that Ruben can kind of fill that role, we think so.
So
Yeah,
Adam,
that's
you
it.
were the handsome guy, but now that Ruben shows his face and we know what he looks like, you're kicked to the curb, my dude.
If I'm gonna
My
lose to
bad.
anybody though, dude, I'm
Facts.
happy to lose to Ruben.
Huge
I'm happy to
facts.
lose to Ruben.
I'm putting another
Very
American out of work or what?
Penance.
Oh no.
Speaking of screw the Americans, Batman is a fascist. That was a hilarious line at the end of the trailer. All the geeks and gamers and whoever it was, people mad about that one. Screw off! Stop taking yourself so realistically. That stuff was hilarious. But Ruben, I'm also happy you brought up the family aspect of this as well, because I think what's important for people to know as to who Jaime Reyes is as a DC character, like we're gonna see very similar vibes to Peter Parker, to Kamala Khan, where their community and their family is very important to them, and they're a very relatable character. And I'm so excited to dive into this movie because it looks so good, and it is a big week, couple of days for Latino representation, because we got another Latino superhero who got literally one of the best trailers I have ever seen in my life. I texted Garrett, I texted Ruben, and I was like, guys, I need to talk about this. Like, I saw a trailer today, and I don't remember the last time I saw a trailer that got me this hype for a movie, and so I'm so excited for this one. We got two different trailers, basically the same one, but with two different intros. Before we kind of dive into the specifics of them, like, Garrett, what was your reaction when you saw this trailer? Were you still awake? Was it nighttime for you, or was it waking up in the morning?
Oh, it was nighttime for me.
This dude don't go to sleep till 5 a.m. Of course,
It was nighttime for me. I was up editing late as usual, and my phone started blowing the fuck up, and like the ADHD that I have, I could not continue my work without checking every little ding. And it was the trailer dropping, and yeah, what a fantastic trailer! I mean, the animation in this is just, it's gorgeous. Like it's hard to look away. Um, I, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I'm a little worried for everyone else, because I know that I'm usually, in my opinion, fairly easy to please, but I feel like the world's expectation for this movie is like so high that if there's just like literally anything wrong, like the disappointment is going to be like a discourse that I'm not going to be able to escape from. Luckily, the fucking trailer is so amazing that there's almost like a 0% chance that happens in my mind. I don't really know I don't really know what it's about, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, it's so vague and ambiguous, but I'm just taken aback by the cast, the possibilities, and the art style, that really it literally doesn't matter what it's about. It could be about anything, and I would be along for the ride. So I echo your sentiment of one of the best trailers of all time. I think it's got a lofty bar to live up to, and I think that we have set a foot in the right direction with this. So I'm excited.
The first one is one of the best animated movies of all time. It's arguably the very best Spider-Man movie of all time. You said this before when we were talking, Adam, that the first trailer to this highly anticipated sequel left you a little bit underwhelmed, but that changed with the second one.
Yeah, I kind of like we were talking about, and like you just said, after the first trailer, there was a lot of conversation surrounding that first trailer. Like, a lot of people were really, really disappointed, and I wasn't so far on that end of the spectrum, in terms of how I felt about it. I liked it. I thought it was fine, but I had some of those thoughts that Garrett was talking about. I was like, oh no, like I feel like we might be headed to a spot where like this could, like, even if this is a really good movie, like it's just people are not gonna like it, and it's not going to live up to their expectations, and it's going to be exhausting just because it has such high standards, like after the first one and the masterpiece that they put out. And then I saw this trailer this morning. I woke up and I saw everybody freaking out. I mean, I was 2 or 3 hours behind. I woke up and I watched this trailer before I even got out of bed, probably like 6 or 7 times, just like on repeat. And I just kept pausing it and like staring at all the different amazing, like mesmerizing animation sequences. And then all my doubts just disappeared. Like, any doubt that I had for this film now, like that it wouldn't live up to expectations, is just gone. And I got to say, it's rare that I'm like happy, even though I know like films and project like games and stuff, they all get delayed in order to like get us to a better product at the end. but I am so rarely like actually happy that a project gets delayed. Like I was this morning when I saw how great everything looked, and I was thinking, like if they had just pushed this out like last year sometime, and we might not would have gotten like all these really unique animation sequences and everything. So I'm so excited. And but again, all my concerns like after that I had after seeing the first trailer are just washed away, completely gone. No, my hype could not be higher.
That's so funny you say that, because the only thought that was on my mind last night when I was watching it was, fuck, the guy who usually posts this is long asleep, and now I'm going to have to figure out how to do it. And then luckily,
You killed it, bro.
No, I did not kill it. I cannot take any of the credit. It was not me. I watched the trailer. Then I said to myself, all right, buddy, we're going to figure out how to do this. And I looked at my phone and I had got the notification.
Your reading glasses on.
Yeah.
Just stepping up to the computer.
Had a good hand rub, a good knuckle crack. And then I looked at my phone and I saw a notification from Agents of Fandom that it had already been out. And so I texted Ruben in a frenzy, like, was that you? And it was. So, of course, I should have known that someone else was going to take care of it. I'm just
I got you,
the luckiest guy.
This trailer really, like, The Marvels was my most highly anticipated movie of 2023 from the start of the year, and that switched. Like, it's across the Spider-Verse now, and I agree with you in terms of the delays, Adam. To me, that just reinforced more confidence that spreading out the Marvel projects is a good idea, even though I'm the type that wants more content all the time, always. I understand that it's objectively a good idea. It makes me happier about things like Invincible Season 2 taking so long, because that Season 1 is amazing, and we want Season 2 and beyond to be amazing too. So you know what? I'm going to wait for it.
And it makes us so much more mad about the Avengers game, am I right?
Yes, it does. Fuck the Avengers game.
I don't think I can really about that, but yeah.
And so much more excited about Jedi Survivor and Spider-Man 2 coming soon, which we'll talk more about later on. But I thought it was so interesting that they showed 2 trailers for this. Now, they were almost exactly the same. They just had a different beginning. One of them showing the villain, one of the antagonists of this movie, Spot. Now, my only background to the Spot is from Spider-Man the animated series in the 90s, where he's one of the main villains and he does multi-dimensional transport. That's kind of his bag. What was that little machine that he was using? The time dilation accelerator. There it is. I knew it was in the back of my mind somewhere.
That's such a 90s name.
Yeah, he was experimenting with Wilson Fisk and the Hobgoblin, using something called a time dilation accelerator, and it was doing too much experimenting and basically turned himself into it. And so the Spot has the ability to basically open portals and transport himself into different places. And so we got a nice little comedic intro to the trailer there. We see Miles back talking his parents, which didn't go so well for him. That was kind of like a very cute, typical trailer start that you'd see. And then the other one, this is the one that really hyped me up, is we hear Toby. With his score and his quotes, we hear and we see Andrew with his score and his quotes. We see the creation of Tom's suit and his quotes in there, and it's just giving me the shivers. But what I really took that as is like, Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie. Some people say it's Spider-Man 2. Some people say it's No Way Home. Whatever. But the best quality Spider-Man movie is Into the Spider-Verse, and I feel like a lot of people kind of dismiss it because it's an animation. To me, this was like opening it up saying, this is Spider-Man, and this is one of these Spider-Man movies, and this is the next chapter. And it was kind of saying like, look, this is the past, we're the king now. That's kind of how I took it.
I won't disagree with you, but I will say, like, it's so, like, yeah, it definitely is the best one. And to me, it's not even like a question, or it's not even close. But also, it can just do so much more in animation that it's honestly so hard to like you said, this is now my favorite movie of the year. like the Oscars have animation in their own category. You know, the animated movies aren't up with the other movies. Like I feel like you can still say like my favorite animated movie, my most anticipated animated movie of the year is Across the Spider-Verse, and like my most anticipated is The Marvels. You know, I feel like there's just so much more that you can add in that it's almost just impossible to compare. And especially with what we've seen in the trailer, that getting something like that in live action is almost like unimaginable, you know? So it's almost just like pitting two people in a fight that shouldn't be pitted in a fight against each other.
I'm so wondering if it's like, so many people have theorized about this for so long, but like, what if Beyond the Spider-Verse is? What if it's live action, or if not live action, partially in live action? Or if not live action, MCU characters brought into their animation? Like, I really think that could be where they're leading us with Beyond the Spider-Verse, but we'll get there. Miguel O'Hara is a hero slash antagonist slash leader of the Spider Squad in this one. We see Gwen taking Miles through the lobby of all the different teams of Amazing Spider-Man, and Miguel O'Hara is the one who started the team, the leader. This is like, I always talk about how I read comics, but my biggest background in all of this stuff is animation, and Spider-Man 2099 had a TV show that only lasted a season, but it basically ended like right as Spider-Man the animated. It basically started right as Spider-Man the animated series ended. But I'm looking forward to like just going back and watching that show now, because I think I've watched each episode once when I was like 12 years old or 10 years old, and so I'm excited to kind of go back and watch that now and get some background info into Miguel O'Hara.
We should do a watch party.
That would be fun. A little Spider-Man 2099. You can probably watch the entire season in like 3 hours, so maybe even less. Adam, how excited are you for Oscar Isaac being such a huge part of this second movie? Because he was angry, but he sounds cool.
Dude, Oscar Isaac's performance as Miguel O'Hara is just like so menacing, and it's just like, as soon as, like, even if you're like if you got the trailer up but you're doing something, and like now I'm at a point, I've watched it so many times where I know when the lines are coming, so like I know when to look. But it's like, as soon as you hear him talking, you just have to like glance over, and because you're like, I cannot just have that on in the background like while I'm walking by, because he is just like, he is so menacing. And I thought what this trailer did such a good job of is that we get to see a little bit of what, like, he wants Miles, like, for whatever reason, he doesn't want him to join the team and he's chasing after him. So we know that that's going to be like a central plot of the movie, but we have no idea why, which is one of my favorite. Like, I don't like when our second trailer in any kind of movie, when our second trailer leaves us with like not having any clue what the villain wants or what he's like, what his plans are. And I don't like when they reveal too much. And to me, this movie, the trailer for this movie just did, like, it was landed right in the middle, like on a perfect 10 out of 10, because I love knowing that he's going to be going after Miles, and he doesn't want Miles to go back to his universe for whatever reason. And he's not going to let him join the team with 300 other spider people, but like, we know that he wants him, but we just don't know what it's for. I'm so excited to see him like be the feature villain in this movie. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna see more of the Spot or more. It seems like after the trailer, it's gonna be more of Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara, because we didn't get very much Spot. But that may be a misdirection. Maybe they end up working together by the end. Who knows? But either way, Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara is just absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for it.
It's interesting because I think with Miguel, it's not so much one against the other. It's two heroes who's are looking at things from different perspectives, and why going back to Miles' universe to save his dad would wreck the multiverse, we don't know yet. But anyone who knows Miles Morales' character, whether it's comics, animation, or the PS5 Spider-Man games, Miles loses his dad. That's his version of Uncle Ben. When he loses his dad, that's his loss of Uncle Ben. It's a crucial part of his arc, and it sucks. And I think Miguel knows that. But for some reason, changing that is going to be a problem. So we don't know if it's going to be a Flashpoint situation, like, and I can go back and undo it. We don't know if it's going to be a Doctor Strange in the Multiverse, or a Spider-Man No Way Home situation of these people are gonna die if they get sent back. Like I gotta prevent that. But one thing we do know is it's not the same as Doctor Strange and that nerd from 199999 or however many nines is there.
I think that was a lot of, you bought a couple too many nines there.
There's always one more too. There's one too many nine that I think, but I think there's 5 nines.
Is the right. That's the right one. 1999-99. That's how Oscar Isaac's character.
Yeah, like one that's cool because they've referenced the MCU universe as 616 so many times, and the only person who hasn't is Aman Vellani, saying she texts Kevin Feige and is like, "It's 1999-9. It's not 616, Kevin, you're wrong." And now they drop that in here. I think that's hilarious. They're referencing the MCU in Across the Spider-Verse. That's wild. That's so exciting. And I like that really opens the door for one, could potentially a couple of these characters show up in this movie. Maybe, but I'm not for sure on that. Like, I'm not going to go in being like, if I don't get my Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield, like, I'm pissed. Nothing like that. But it definitely shows up. And if not for them to show up here, for them to show up in the third one. What do you think, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense given what they've set up, and obviously we've seen the interaction between Sony and Marvel lend their characters thus far only in the Marvel direction. So I think it's interesting to kind of see the reverse of that, and it's maybe inevitable based on the trajectory of the two companies. In terms of if I was Sony, like, and I know that obviously there was a point in time when there was a deal restructured and re-signed. If I'm them, I'm telling Kevin, like, hey, yeah, you can continue to have Tom Holland, Spidey, but when it suits us, we get a couple of crossover characters too. And this projects like this, or like a Madam Web, are the places where that would make sense. But I'm on the same train as you in terms of, like, I'm keeping my eyes open for it, but I'm in no way going to be, this movie is in no way a disappointment if they don't show up.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Man, I'm in like a different frame of mind than you. Like, I hate to be pessimistic about this. When I first heard that line, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit, and then I got on Twitter and I saw everybody freaking out about it, and I was like, what happened the last time that Sony tried to reference like the MCU in one of their projects? It took Kevin Feige one movie, like the very next movie, for him to be like, get that shit out of here. We are not doing that. And I feel like Kevin, I think he's probably already planning, after seeing that, on like some other reference in another post-credit scene in an upcoming movie, reinforcing the idea that the Earth, or the MCU's Earth, is 616. Like, and I don't have any ties to the count, so I'm not like, I don't care about that either way, whether it's 1999-99 or 616. It's like, I'm not one of those people that's super invested in that, because that's just, I don't know much about it. Like, I know there is a lot of people that really care about that, but I feel like that's going to end up being like the biggest throwaway. And I feel like I'm being so pessimistic because it's just, it feels so bad, but it's like,
yeah, I think we're reading too much into it, if I'm going to be 1,000% honest. Like,
well,
I think
what I like about it is, like, I don't give a damn if it's 616 or not either. That doesn't really matter to me. But
that's honestly it's a weird blunder to make in the first place, if I'm going to be 1,000% honest.
Yeah. The part I like about it is I just love connectivity. And so I don't care if Miguel thinks it's 199999 and Earth 838 in the MCU thinks it's 616. I don't care what they think the numbers are. I care that Miguel O'Hara is aware of that universe. That's like what gets me excited, is just the fact that we're getting this multiversal story, and that's just not erased. We don't have to completely separate those in our brain. We can just go, oh yeah, even if those interact, like, this is the multiverse and he knows about that. I love that, because it always takes me back to the 90s animated Spider-Man series when they would do those connective things. We're obviously going to see a lot of death and sadness and loss in this one. Spider-Man is going to have to deal with loss, and that's addressed in the trailer. You guys lost Uncle Ben. I don't want to lose my dad. I could have saved him. Well, that's why most of us are here, is because that's what made us a hero. That's what taught us with great power also comes great responsibility. And so that's obviously going to be a through point of the film. We see a quick shot of when Gwen loses her Peter. We see Miles diving for his dad in the exact same way that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man loses Gwen in his movie. That's obviously going to be a through point here, but there's also a lot of excitement and happiness and youthfulness and birth brought into the world in this movie because we get to see Spider-Girl. Mayday is here, and Peter B. Parker has a daughter. It's Mayday. He got back together with Mary Jane, and it was so cool to hear Jake Johnson's voice coming in saying, hey, he had a bad teacher. Cut him some slack. I love it so much. He's such a perfect old chubby Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was definitely an exciting part of the trailer.
Yeah, he's so great, man. Just like, and his arc in the first movie is like one of the most satisfying arcs, like in any comic book movie. His like the writing for him was so great. Like I love him so much. I was just like screaming, jumping for joy when I saw him in this trailer.
I also love that he just has like the old white guy who drinks too much beer down south dad bod. You know what I mean? Like he's fit. He's still fit. Like he still looks like Spider-Man everywhere, but his tummy. He's still a skinny guy, and then he's got his beer pregnant belly stuck out. And I love that about Peter B. Parker so much. I think that just suits his personality so perfect of like, he's that guy who's like, pulls up to the street ball court, and he's 50, 60 years old, but he's going out there and playing with the youngins, and he's like, he doesn't have his shoelaces tied up, and he's wearing like these old just boots, but he's slinging threes and nailing every one of them. That's what Peter B. Parker reminds me of, and I'm excited to see more of him in this movie. Issa Rae's Spider-Woman is so prevalent in the trailer, even though we barely hear from her, as is Daniel Kaluuya's Spider-Punk. Scarlet Spider, who I cosplayed at the Regina Expo, who is one of my favorite Spider-Men in all of the Spider-Verse. I'm so happy he's going to be a big part of this movie. One of our favorites. We get to see the PS5 Spider-Man doing the meme quick before it extends. Is he just part of the lobby and partaking in the meme? Or do we think we're actually going to get some lines from PS5 Spider-Man in this movie? What do you think, Garrett?
I think he's just a throwaway little tease there.
What
I'm
about
sad
you, Adam?
to say that I agree. Like I feel the same way, and like, but it's one of those things where like I hope they give him like at least something like kind of cool to do, and he's not just at the base. But like the fact that we're getting him anyway, like, and I know that like this wasn't some crazy reveal today because we saw him like in the poster and stuff a while back, but it's like the fact to see him like in this trailer and like I know again it's not a surprise, but to get that confirmation, like it means so much. I love that game so much. It's not an exaggeration to say I've played it through like 25 to 30 times, like and 100% of each, like that game.
I was just gonna ask you that actually, what your level of side missions was. Dude, on it.
100% each time. Well,
I knew I had
nothing.
I had nothing, nothing to worry about. I knew it.
I'm sorry that sometimes when they're telling me I have to hurry up and get to this building, otherwise somebody's gonna die, I go right to the building. I'm sorry.
Bro, but if you pass a spot that you gotta take a picture of, the spot before you say to people.
The only stuff I always have to go back and do is like all the crimes in the neighborhood.
So the crimes in the neighborhood isn't important. No, it's funny. TJ and I already had this moral argument via text the other day when he was like, "Yeah, so do I have to complete, the side missions, like beat the story?" And I'm like, I mean, no, but to call yourself a gamer, you do. To be Spider-Man, you gotta save the city.
Okay, that was for the Arkham games. That was for the Arkham games. For Spider-Man, I have 100% completed the whole thing, all the DLCs, all the crimes to 100%. But some backstory, I didn't do it the first time. I completed all the main stories and all the main side quests, but just didn't get them up to like 100. And the reason why is I buy my PS5. When I buy my PS5, I already got Spider-Man Miles Morales, Guardians of the Galaxy, God of War, The Witcher, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. All of these things that I have to, I had to catch up. I wasn't going to be like...
it takes priority.
You got 100% all of them, bro. Don't give us this excuse. Yes. You're preaching to the wrong choir here, buddy.
All right. We're thorough.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck us. You're the one that left New York in disarray. You're the one that
I
left
didn't leave New York in disarray. I left Gotham in disarray. There's a difference.
So
ain't
New
nobody
York
doing those
matters,
Riddler missions.
but Gotham doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Thank you. Every time I
will
would do
say-
the Man Bat ones, they glitched every single time. It wouldn't let me do Man Bat.
I can do all the rest of them, like in the Arkham Knight. When I saw the Riddler and they finally, like, they get to the point where you can pull up the circle and see, and it's like 520. Ain't nobody got time for that. One, those are such small, like, you would have to go look up. That would
You
I can imagine-
pop your ass on IGN. You get yourself a walkthrough. You pop yourself open some Mountain Dew and some Cheetos. Yeah, no, I'm talking the shit, but I have never got even close to 100%ing the Riddler trophies in any of the Batman games, so I'm completely talking shit right now. But if I were to do that, Cheetos and Mountain Dew would be my fucking friend, I guarantee you. And IGN.
That's why I'm so excited to, when all these great new games come out, start just like, I'm going to be spending all these time playing them anyways. Start streaming them, start reviewing, and the ones that I'm reviewing, like, you bet your ass I'm doing all of this stuff because I'm not going to have that anxiety hanging over me of like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I should be working. Bitch, I am working. This is my job right now. I got to review it. I'm live on Twitch. I'm so excited for that because I'm going to enjoy this so much more without that, like, without my dad's voice in the back of my head just being like, you're supposed to have done this right now. Why are you playing these games? You're not supposed to do that until you've done this. And I'm like, fuck.
Productivity.
Exactly. Productivity, capitalism. But the one reason I'm hoping we do get some of the PS5 Spider-Man is just with this movie coming out in June, with Spider-Man 2 on PS5 coming out in September, it seems like this is too close together for them to not kind of capitalize on. I'm going to the Calgary, like, and maybe this is just my brain too much, but I'm going to the Calgary Expo in at the end of April here. Shamik Moore is there, who voices Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies, and Najee Jeter is there, who voices Miles Morales in the PS5 game. I would love for the two Mileses to meet each other in this movie, because we see all these different Peter Parkers. We see a Miguel. We see a Pavitier. We see Gwen. We see Mayday. We haven't seen a single other Miles in any of these trailers or anything. So I would love if PS5 Miles and Spider-Verse Miles meet each other. That's kind of my dream.
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting is that, I don't know if you guys saw this. It was back a couple weeks ago. One of the Marvel Legends figures for Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2 that's coming out later this year. The description of it says, Miles is the newest Spider-Man who discovers allies and enemies across the multiverse and at home in New York. And that's like a description for the game. So the multiverse is going to play a factor within the game as well. So I think we could be looking at not only, like you said, like a Miles Morales from the game, or maybe even potentially another one coming into the movie, but we could also be looking at something like maybe we see the Miles from the movie play some kind of, and like Peter B. Parker or something, play some part in the game. Like, and I think I'm a little, to be honest with you, as soon as I saw that, like, I'm a little worried about that, because this game, like Spider-Man 1 or like Spider-Man PS4 and then Spider-Man Miles Morales are just such like really, really good, like grounded games. And they're focused so much in New York, like for the first one. And then even the second one is focused so much in Harlem, like, and it feels like such a personal story for Miles. And I'm a little nervous to see if they can still capture that same kind of magic if this is like this huge multiversal story. Cause like, that seems something like that's better served for a movie as opposed to like a whole video game. But I don't know. I'm still obviously super excited, but I'm definitely I'm more intrigued, I guess, than I am either worried or excited.
Not to break off the topic more than we already have, but like, that's something that irks me so much with the MCU, and something that I think is cool that Star Wars is doing in terms of like building this connected game universe. Like, that's such a fat, ripe opportunity there for us to just like further these stories in a really fun, awesome medium that a lot of people enjoy. That don't necessarily have to be like necessary, for the like
Yeah.
some Disney Plus series you have to, watch to understand a couple of things to an extent, but that's just such a wasted opportunity to me. So if Sony can pull that off, I think that'd be really cool. I think it's cool that Star Wars is doing it. I want it to cross over completely and have the Cal Kestis live action be a thing and get kind of a back and forth there. I think why are we basing these characters on people who exist if not to bring them in for that purpose? So I think that I want that as a whole to be something that's done more often, but I know obviously there's a lot of obstacles in terms of, like creating a video game. But I mean, we're like, I don't know, 15 years into the MCU at this point. Or however many years, like we could have had at least one, so sorry to diverge that far, but I think extended universe, the video game universes are like a really cool idea, and we should lean into them more if possible.
I think it's a great point, and I'm excited about the potential for DC to maybe start doing that and integrating that into their stuff, hopefully in the future, as they're doing that with animation as well. We're going to be talking about Mandalorian later in this week, but we just had so much content that we had to double down on the episodes between Secret Invasion, Guardians of the Galaxy, Blue Beetle, Into the Spider-Verse. We got Star Wars, we got Marvel, we got DC. We're eating good right now. It seems like we've been in a little bit of a content break outside of the Mandalorian, and we're finally not content break, but nerdy content break. There's lots of stuff like Succession Adam is covering on the website. Obviously, The Last of Us on HBO, which kind of fits the nerdy aspect too, just finished. But in terms of the big three, we've been a little dry.
Didn't mention Ted Lasso there. Wow, I'm a little hurt.
Ted Lasso, of course. Like, there's so much great television out there right now. But in terms of the big three of the nerdy news worlds, we've been a little bit dry, and now it's coming in full force. So stay tuned to our episode later in the week talking The Mandalorian. If you're watching this in video form on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure you subscribe to all of the podcasts on the Agents of Fandom Podcast Network. Rate 5 stars, write a nice little review. We thank you so much for doing that. We thank you so much for joining us. We will be back in a couple days talking The Mandalorian on behalf of our wonderful producer, Ruben, who stepped in today, our wonderful producer / co-host, Adam, who popped in, and Garrett and I are all right. We're fine. We get the job done. We thank you guys for joining us this week, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.